Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are featuring Flying Fist He-Man from the Masters of the Universe Origins line. Okay, so as you'll notice, we actually have two figures here. The first figure here on the left is actually the original figure from, I think, maybe like 1986. Yeah, so this is the older 80s figure. And this is the newer Origins figure made for 2022. So we're going to take a look at both these figures. I thought it'd be a fun comparison. You know, this figure kind of just came out recently, and I know a lot of fans are excited about it. The older figure is something I never had as a child. I purchased this recently, maybe about like 2 or 3 months ago, and I think it's a fantastic figure. So I'm really excited to check out how well the newer version compares. So let's get started. Alright, so we have Flying Fist He-Man, swings with awesome might. Love the character artwork here. I think it looks fantastic. He kind of has that bolo weapon and his shield. Lots of accessories. You're getting a power sword without the knuckle guard, which for me, that's a big plus. You get the alternate portrait. This is more so the much more modern take on He-Man. It somewhat resembles the newer face mold, but his hair is kind of blowing around. But if you compare the two, it almost looks like it's a weird amalgamation between the older head and the newer one. He comes with an additional gripping hand, the bolo weapon, and the shield. On the back, awesome artwork. He-Man battles back vile villains with with fist-flinging power. And I'm not sure if this is a tease for an Eternia playset. You know, knowing Mattel, maybe it is. And we also have Mossman, Fisto, Cyclone. Alright, so here are the play features: to swing the arms, hold the figure, and grip the wheel. So above his waistline, there's kind of like this rigid tab. When you move his waist around, his arms will like flail up and down. And then the power grip here, store his weapon. So you can store his weapon there. And then he comes with the three-headed mighty mace. Or, you know, for me it kind of looks like more like a bolo kind of weapon. And he comes with his spinning shield. Some other figures in the wave include Terraclaw Skeletor, Sorceress, Buzz-Off, Stratos, and Jitsu. So all these figures I've reviewed in previous videos, so check those out. And let's get started. Okay, so we get the comic book. This is a fun throwback to the old comic books that we got in the 80s. Masters of the Universe Under Siege. Very fun. And truth be told, I haven't read any of these comic books yet. And it's ironic, I've said this before, I'm actually a huge comic book fan. But for whatever reason, I just haven't found the time to read these. I think I'm just more interested in the action figures. Great artwork, really fun. Over here we have that little paper insert that highlights all the removable parts of the figure. So if you want to do figure swapping, you know, you can swap the heads. The hands are removable, as are the boots. If you want to go a step further, you can like soften the thighs with like hot water, and it'll soften the plastic, and you can actually remove the legs completely. Alright, so a quick note on the packaging for this figure. This is much like Terraclaw's Skeletor. there's like a plastic tab that's inserted between the arm and the chest piece, and you just grab it here and pull it out like so. I believe this is to prevent scuffing of the chrome, you know, from the arms, which is nice. It's nice that Mattel's thoughtful about that. All right, let's take a look at the alternate portrait. Yeah, so as you can see here, his hair is kind of like slightly blowing in the wind, and yeah, kind of has his mouth open. I kind of take it back. At first, I thought this head was kind of almost like in terms of sculpting, I thought it resembled a little bit more like the Origins He-Man head, but now that I'm looking at it, it seems like it's really just playing off more so the OG head, but just giving you a different facial expression. Because I know for like the battle armor He-Man that we got, you know, last year, they gave us the two heads. You had the option of either the like old school style face or the new school one. But in this case, it looks like these are both inspired by the older 80s face. You're just getting two different facial expressions and different hair movement. Here's his spinning shield. Very self-explanatory. You know, this rotates around. The nice thing with this shield is, unlike the older one. So here's the older one from the 80s. Or I take it back. At first, I was going to say I thought these were stickers on the older one, but they're not. As you can see, there is a size difference here. The older 80s shield is much larger than the new one. The new one here is probably about 50% smaller. This one's a lot bigger. I do like the fact that with the newer shield, the center axle is actually chrome plated, versus here where it's still kind of like that plastic gold. On the back, different designs. I'm not sure how durable this is. I'm not sure if this would snap, but I think with this style of plastic, I think it'd be more prone to stress than crack first. So different clipping designs, different sizes. The functionality is both the same. You know, for the older shield, you know, it just spins around, and the newer one spins also. So if you're like a purist and old school collector, and if you feel kind of like betrayed by Mattel that they're releasing these like classic characters but in newer form, you know, be rest assured that, you know, there is differences. At least with the older weapon, it's much larger, you know, so it's not like it's a knockoff. It's not like this is a knockoff of this. They are different. He does come with a power sword. This is the design I actually prefer. I prefer the power sword without the knuckle guard. For me, it looks a little bit cleaner and it looks nicer. I don't like having that little like knuckle guard in the front of the handle. It looks weird. Even though it's you know, it's more a little bit more true to the original design. And then here is the spinning mace weapon. So when I purchased my OG Flying Fist He-Man, you know, a few months ago, it had all the accessories but this. So for me, it's kind of cool to actually have this weapon now. It's very basic, very simple. You know, it's three maces, which is interesting. I just noticed this now. Two of these ball ends are actually hollow, as you can see right there. This is hollow and this is hollow, and the third one isn't hollow. I'm assuming this is to make it weighted to allow it to spin better or faster. And you're going to notice there's going to be some disconnection in the coloring as well. The ball end that is not hollow is kind of like this gold plastic, whereas the other ones, it's much more of a metallic finish. And then He-Man comes with another hand. I always prefer having 2 grip hands. The splayed out hand looks alright, but the fingers look kind of warped. As you can see right there. I'm not sure if that's because of the shield. Yeah, that's more so for the shield. You know, if you want to fit the shield on this hand, the fingers will go through easier if it's a non-grip hand. But I kind of do like the grip hand better. Let's see if I could swap this out real quick. Alright, I'm swapping it out, and let's see if the shield will still hold. Alright. Yeah, it still works. You know, it doesn't... The grip hand doesn't prevent you from, you know, still using the shield on this hand. And since it's clipping around the wrist, it's not going to make a difference. So that's He-Man decked out with the spinning shield. The spinning mace has a peg right there that plugs into the fist. So right there. Plug this in. And then he's good to go. I love this kind of stuff because it's very play friendly. You know, it feels like it's made much more for kids, even though the quality of the figure is really well done. So the instructions tell you that, you know, in order to twist the waist, to use this rigid grip above the waist. But in all honesty, the weapon grip up here, for me, it's a lot easier. You know, you can just grab it with your fingers and twist. You know, if you use this down here, you're using your thumb, and then chances are your fingers are going to get in the way of the arms, and it's going to prevent movement. You know, it's not as easy. So it seems kind of redundant that they gave you this thing when you already have this to hold onto. And as you can see here, there's kind of like a paint blotch on his butt right there. So yeah, there's the play feature. You rotate his waist and his arms kind of like flail around, causing this to spin, and likewise with this. Let's examine the action figure up close by itself without the accessories. So this is a figure, as I stated before, I did not have growing up as a kid. I think by like 1986 when this figure came out. Chances are I was kind of already into like video games, you know, like the Nintendo came out. You know, it's more about playing like, you know, Super Mario Brothers and Metroid versus playing with toys. I love this armor design a lot. I'm a big fan of like battle damage armor He-Man, and this kind of like, it's kind of almost like a callback to that, but it has like the gold trim around the shoulders, and I was never keen on this, but the more I stare at it, I'm a little bit more accepting of it. It seems very odd that he almost has like an additional belt above his waistline. So it's almost like he has 2 belts, which is, it always looked weird to me, but, you know, I've kind of just learned to accept it. Articulation-wise, this guy's head rotates. You can look down, not so much. His arms, alright, so this is much like Terraclaw's Skeletor. If you rotate his arms, it's going to make a clicking noise. So, I'm never comfortable doing that. And the range of motion when he twists his waist, it's going to vary depending on how you position his arms in a neutral position. Like if you have his arms higher up in a neutral position, it's going to look like there's more range of motion. But I like to have his arms down much more lower to his waist, like that. So yeah, standard articulation, much like you'd expect from the other Origins figures. I love the colors of the boots. I love how it has the white trim top, as opposed to it just being all brown. And let's take out the original figure to compare. So here is the original Flying Fist He-Man. As you can see, he has a much longer neck. And the range of motion for this guy's arms is a lot more. Like, when you turn his waist, his arms completely swing up. I like that a lot better. One very unique thing about this figure, not too many figures had this in the 80s, and that's the way his legs are assembled. They kind of like went away with the rubber bands, and instead he actually has an articulated plastic joint holding his leg in place. So they did away with the rubber bands, which is great, because over time the rubber bands, they kind of like deteriorate and like dry rot and crack. You know, this is a figure that you're not going to have to worry about that. He has an actual plastic joint, if you can see it, right there, that's holding his leg together. So that's an awesome, cool thing. And which, you know, this figure is great for so many reasons. You know, when this figure came out in the 80s, it had the white trimmed boots, which is like an extra, like, you know, plus. So one thing you're going to notice differently is also the arm bracers. So this guy kind of adopts, you know, He-Man with the asymmetrical design when it comes to his arm bands. This side has the full wrap. This one has the taller arm guard that only covers half of his forearm. The newer figure just has the smaller bracers on both wrists. So there's going to be some differences there. Alright, so here's the new figure, here's the old one. In terms of their color, this guy kind of has a deeper flesh tone than this one. You'll also notice a difference in their collar. This guy has a much more open-necked collar, whereas this one, the collar, it's kind of more closed off towards the top of his neck and shoulders. The logos are slightly different. This one, the H, is a little bit more narrower and taller, whereas the H emblem on here is a little bit more squat and wider. Yeah, so great figures. If I had to rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10, for me it's an easy 9. I'm in love with the costume design. I love the accessories. I think the play feature is really nice. You know, if you have little ones and they want to, you know, you want them to play with their toys, you know, this gimmick alone I think is really fun. You know, he can just go through all his enemies and just mow them all down. I kind of wish the shield was bigger, much like the older one, but the argument could be made that maybe the old shield was a little bit too big. You know, if you display it next to the figure, it's pretty ginormous. The newer shield's a little bit smaller. It seems like it's a little bit more battle ready. But nonetheless, excellent figure all around. I love the very clean design of the power sword without the knuckle guard. So yeah, you're looking at a figure that I think is well worth the value and well worth hunting down. So let's get these guys displayed next to one another. Let's get their shields. Extra head, extra hand, and then the bolo weapon. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber viewer, thank you so much for your support. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.